really bother with or ever incorporate into training at all?
This debate, has been raging for years on the internet.
Yeah, I know. That's partly why I want to ask you.
It's weird because none of the founding guys or the experienced guys from France would, it's just really weird. Those sort of questions are just like, why are you asking? It's just totally pointless. None of them ever consider that stuff. It's totally irrelevant. Whether you call it parkour, free running, art du déplacement, it's just like, who cares, man? Just train. All that stuff was started on the internet by people that tried to pick things apart a lot and tried to define things, and there was none of that in the start. The art originally, here's the brief history. Okay, the art originally was started by 9 guys who became the Yamakasi, and they were David Bell, Chow Beldin, Jan Notre, Laurent Piedmontesi, SFPK, a little bit after, Guillain. Anyway, 9 guys. They started. There were young guys in France. They started training together. They called it art du déplacement, the art of displacement. And for many years, they were just training their way. And their way of training was not specifically based on movements or vaults or jumps. It was based on being Yamakasi. And the word means strong man, strong spirit. It was just based on being a strong individual, being functional, capable, and being able to do any challenge. And that challenge maybe one day was, can you jump this? And maybe another day was, can you lift this? And maybe another day was, can you crawl on all fours to that mountain? Can you do this? Can you do that? And can you climb that building? Those sort of challenges. So it was really about being strong and functional and being able to rise to any situation. And then that got refined over the years and became, as they found they could do more and more impressive things, they started to do bigger and bigger jumps. But the jumps were not big at the beginning. It was the other way around now. It's the reverse of the way it is now. Now people go in and they start doing all these big jumps because they know they can do them now, because those guys did them. But at the beginning there was no one before them doing those jumps. So for them, an 8-foot jump across between 2 buildings was a fucking big jump. No one had ever done that. So no one really knew if you could do it or not. And so they started pushing the limits, and they found that you could do that. And now it's easy for us to take someone, train them, and within a few months, they're doing 10-foot standing jumps because we know they can do it. But at the beginning, it was not like that. So anyway, they trained, and then various things happened. They became famous. The movie. They kind of went their separate ways. David went his way and started calling it parkour. Same discipline, just renamed it parkour. And then freerunning came about when we did Jump London, and a guy called Guillaume Pelletier founded the word freerunning as a translation of parkour for the English-speaking audience. Not a separate discipline, it was a translation of the word parkour, and that's it. And then certain individuals started claiming it as a different art, that he founded it or whatever. Fair enough. The original name of the art is art du déplacement, the art of displacement. The others are just other names for it. And even that doesn't really matter, the name doesn't really matter. And at the beginning, they did spins, flips, demi-tour, acrobatic stuff, that was in there as well. They started doing that for fun. It wasn't really the focus of it, but it was there as fun. But it wasn't the focus because it wasn't so useful, not efficient. The word efficient is kind of a misnomer because very little of parkour is efficient, okay? If you want to look the scientific definition of efficiency, it is more efficient to walk around the fucking wall than it is to go. So these people are going about it's not efficient, and chances are 95% of what they're doing is not efficient. So forget those debates; they're ridiculous. It's not about efficiency. It's about being useful and being able to say, can I get over this wall quickly? If I needed to, can I get up there? To reach something or to escape or for training or for fun or whatever you're doing it for. Those are really the important things. And the flips, the acrobatic stuff, very rarely becomes useful. That's why I just never was really trained hugely. Because if you're doing, especially when it started to get to bigger and bigger things, if you're doing big jumps, risky jumps between buildings or big, running, sort of 14-foot running precision to land on a railing, you just can't put a flip in. It's going to kill you if you try. So you kind of stop doing it. I mean, if you try and train with Steph, Kazuma, and Thomas, all these guys, if you just want to train with them and do what they do in their training session, you just can't do it. Just to do the same jumps, you just have to. All your focus is on making the distance and surviving the landing, not on looking flash halfway through. So that stuff kind of falls by the wayside as you begin to get into the really functional stuff. But that's kind of later and later on in the training. You don't need to do that stuff for now. But and that stuff again for me and for most of us, but that's what really appeals, is like those sort of movements which are very hard to do, very technically hard, very not big but very challenging physically and mentally and technically. And for that, you require everything you've got just to pull the landing. So that's cool. I like that stuff. But that doesn't mean you can't do acrobatic stuff. You can do whatever you want. And it doesn't mean if you do acrobatic stuff, it's suddenly free running and not parkour. Yeah, it's all the same discipline. It just has different names throughout the years.
Can I just ask then why you guys decided to call yourselves Parkour Generations?
Because most of us, that's the word we came to it through. Stefan was trained by David, Thomas trained with David, Stef's kind of trained on his own. At the same time as David though, but just with his own. The first time I heard of it was as parkour, so we just knew it as parkour. So in the UK, parkour is the bigger word. Art de Déplacement, which is the original word, is not well known. It's also tricky to pronounce, and for English-speaking people, it's just it's really just very it's just very wordy. So it's just not. It's just a pain in the ass to say art de Déplacement every time. Parkour's easier, so just use that. But we don't say we do parkour not free running, but parkour not art de Déplacement. It's all the fucking same thing. And all the Yamakasi, all the founders will say the same thing. They say don't care about the definitions, the labels, the names. Just train, move. And the best guys in the world couldn't care less about the names. Yeah, really, really. I mean, guys like Danny, Ilabaka, you may know, the Yamakasi or Steph or whatever, couldn't care less about the names. But all these divisions and debates have come about really through the internet and when it spread that way. It was never that way at the beginning. The demi-tour, the palm spin, as you were saying earlier, was used in France from day one by all the founding guys. So now people to say, oh, it's not parkour, it's like, really? Who said that then? And how long have you been training?
I mean, isn't everything parkour is just basic movement?
Yeah, I mean, parkour is exactly. It's this movement. It's just in a way, it's like athletics. It's kind of the grandfather of all physical skills. So it's linked into method naturelle from the French from Georges Hebert in the 19th century, and that kind of. Just returning to your roots and using your body to solve problems and movement problems rather than using equipment or gear or anything like that. So it's really anything you want to do is part of it. What parkour really is a way of what defines it as parkour and not as something else is the spirit of training. Is your approach to training and your mentality really. And the spirit is the most important thing. And that spirit is one of first of all, like I said at the beginning, not quitting. Being really durable, really pushing your limits, overcoming challenges, all that sort of stuff. But also, it's a spirit of helping others, living for other people, being useful for other people, helping your friends, your family, your society, teaching others, helping them understand their potential. So it's kind of very ethical in a way as well. And being a good person, the word Yamakasi, the first word they chose, means it's a Lingala word. It means strong man, strong spirit, but it doesn't just mean strong as in strong. I mean strong as in a good, and not necessarily just man, could be woman too. Good person as in reliable, responsible. You can look after themselves, look after their family, have a good role in society, all that sort of stuff. So it doesn't just mean you're physically hardcore and nothing to do with, and you ignore everyone else. And certainly if you're doing that, you're not considered good in parkour. So you need to give back and be helpful and be useful as a human. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how good you are physically.
What's your opinion on the whole certification process of the ADAPT and all that kind of idea behind
it's a terrible idea.
What's that about?
the ADAPT certification, kind of being certified in parkour and knowing, trainers. What's your opinion on that?
I think the reason it's being done by and it's been something that's been discussed for a long time, over 10 years by the founding guys. They've been discussing it for a long time and have plans to do it for a long time, but never got around to it for various reasons. And really the scene wasn't ready, but now it kind of is ready. And in fact, it's more than ready, it's necessary, because now there's such attention from governments, from I think groups like the police, from local authorities, from schools, and loads of people are being asked to teach, as you probably know, over around the world people are asking to teach. But what they'll do is they'll say, and the reason the way we're doing it now is because we do a lot of teaching.